been trying to think of different ways to introduce our speaker for this morning, and really the best way to introduce Debbie Simmons is to say that she's a lady who has a passion for missions. I met Debbie, and Jason and I both met her along with Trish, or Trish may have already known her, but I just got to know her this past year. We went to Nicaragua. Debbie was the one who headed this whole ministry up, and so much patience with us, and organizational skills that God has blessed her with, and God has really gifted her for missions. And so I've been looking for an opportunity for her to come and share with us, and finally it worked out for us today. But I want you to hear Debbie for various reasons, and you'll hear in just a few moments. But she has such a passion for Nicaragua and for the ministry there that we were a part of. And that's my vision, is that we as Trinity Baptists would grab a hold of that, and that we too can see the value in that ministry and be a part of that, not only with our monies, but with our going and our feet and our hands, and be a part of that, because it's well worth it to be a part of that. So anyway, I want to have a prayer for Debbie before she comes, and then I want us to listen to her intently this morning, what the Holy Spirit would speak into our hearts. Father, today it's all about you. You remind us in your word that if Christ is lifted up, that you'll draw all people to you. And Father, I know that happened at the cross, but Father, I know it happens daily. And when we have the opportunity together as your church, Father, we pray that Christ is lifted up in our actions and our words and our worship and every single thing that we do in our teaching. And Father, I pray for Debbie this morning that, God, she is an instrument in your hands. You have blessed her. You continue to use her. And so, Father, would you help her this morning to speak those words that you'd have her to speak into our lives today. And Father, may your will be done, and may Jesus be glorified. I pray in Christ's name. Amen. Debbie?
We saw when we went the first year in the community that I'm going to be speaking mostly about today. Some of you in here do know me. I see familiar faces here. My name is Debbie Simmons. A lot of you know me as Miss Debbie. I do teach at Whiteville Primary. I've been there for 25 years. This is my 25th year teaching 3-year-olds with special needs. My body is falling apart. Micah, if he's in here, he's helped me with my neck several times. Actually having some issues now, but he's taught me the tricks about it, so I'm doing those right now. But I do love missions. Always had a heart for it, even as a child, and got involved in it. Actually, my first mission trip was to Mexico with the church down the street with the Methodist church. My husband went with me, and I was hooked. So anyway, this past year we went to Nicaragua. Randy and Jason and Trish. Is Trish here today? There she is. There she is. Just made some great new best friends. We had representatives from friends from Regalwood, some Hallsboro, another church, I'm not sure where. Susan, I can't remember the name of her church. But Susan, she was our doctor that went with us. Mount Zion, okay. I'm from Western Prong, and then Trinity had 3 to come. So we had a really good time. This is our group, and there are 3 doctors there from Nicaragua, and then his son, and then we had Mark Player. He has the church in Delco. He came with us as well. So Anyway, we had a really good time. Can't explain it. You have to go and experience it. So today I'm going to focus on missions and what we do there, and really focus on an area at the Shenandoah dump. It's in Shenandoah, Nicaragua, and it's at the city dump there. How we got involved was through honoring the Father Ministries from Ocala, Florida. They have family here, the Whittingtons, here in Whiteville. Daryl married Jennifer from Ocala. Her father has Honoring the Father Ministries. They are missionaries, and they have they work with Cuba, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And they have sports ministries, and they came to our church to visit, shared their story, shared their ministry, sang. They did the whole service, sang. It was a beautiful service, and that's how we got connected with Oscar and Rosabelle. Now, this was the only picture I had of them. Didn't really want myself in there, but this is Rosabelle and Oscar. They are the missionaries that we go and stay with, and they are the ones in charge of our missions when we are there. They own Eagles Wings Ministry in Leon, and this is very important. I want you to see this video. It's a short video, 5 minutes, 22 seconds. It's on YouTube. She's going to show that for us. I want you to see this. It really shows you a short version of their story there in Nicaragua. We got to hear the long version there, but this is a short version of their story there. It's very, very good. So we pray that it will show for us.
Growing up as a child, my dad was never around in the picture, and my mom had to work very hard. And there was many times that I would come home and there would be no food to eat. At nighttime, me and my best friend would lay on the street, and we would look up into the stars. And I remember saying, one day when I get older, I'm gonna have my own soccer ball. It was hard to survive gangs, drugs, alcohol, and that's the kind of situation I fell in as a young kid. Our ministry is On Eagles Wings Ministry. The Lord has gave me the passion to be able to provide meals, to be able to help those youth and teenagers get away from the street life. We started with the first feeding program. I remember my wife, a small group of 20 children, providing Bible studies for them once a week. Once we cooked for those 20 children the first time, immediately the meeting became 120 children. So we saw that this was a great opportunity to be able to reach out to the children. Our dream, our passion is through the work of God to be able to go out there and share with them using any platform possible. So sometimes we have to use soccer, sometimes we use baseball, the building of a house, building a church, feeding the children, medical assistance. We use any platform possible to be able to share the love of Christ, to be able to tell them that Christ loves them, that Christ died for them, and there's hope.
Mi mamá y mi papá, de verdad, se separaron cuando yo tenía 8 años de edad. A la edad de 12 años yo me comencé a involucrar en lo que el alcohol, en el uso de droga, andar en las calles. Fue por medio del fútbol de que yo vine, ¿verdad?, hacia los pies de Cristo. Comenzó él a ganarme a mí.
The way we do it is, once a request is put in to start a feeding program, we will go out into the village and check out the area, make sure the children are there. We kind of interview the parents to make sure the need is there. We also make sure that we have a team of people willing to help us do the work. We'll train the leaders to make sure they not only feeding the children, but use the food as a platform to share the gospel. Once we make the decisions to start the feeding program, we make sure they also are equipped, that they'll have what they need, which is like the big pots to cook for the children, knives, tables, and stuff that they'll need to be able to do the work. Right now we are in Limonal, Chinandega, one of our feeding programs. We were able to buy this piece of land for the community, for the church, and working on the playground for the last 2.5 years that we've been working in this area. All the children go to play is the city garbage, the city dump. This is one of the houses being built. It was our prayer for the Lord to provide us the funds so we could build one house at a time. But 2.5 years later, God had different plans, and so far we have been able to build 10 houses.
Hoy tengo 10 años de estar con ellos, ¿verdad? Ellos fueron como una segunda familia y eso ha venido impactando mi vida, ¿verdad? Fue lo primero que me enseñaron aquí fue a servir, porque Oscar para cuando comenzó no tenía nada, no, él siempre era un hombre de fe con su esposa.
The way we are able to sustain is churches in the United States that partner with us. Missionaries, when they come down, they pay a fee that we use to cover transportation, food, interpreters, lodging, everything they need as soon as they arrive into the airport. It is great because cover the expenses and have funds left over to continue doing ministry.
Como que fueran de corazón, como que fueran para el Señor y no para los hombres. Entonces esa palabra ha resonado siempre en mi corazón y todas las cosas que yo hago aquí, las hago como para el Señor.
Right now we are working with a network of about 60 churches. Once we start giving them the food, we ask the pastors to a monthly meeting. That lets us know that the pastor is really interested in the feeding program. After that meeting, we usually give the pastors a month supplies for food until we meet again the following month. I'm always asking the Lord to give me new strategies. Give us ideas or strategies that would help us reach the teenagers, the youth, adults, and those we are working with.
Y pues gracias a Él, ahora soy una nueva criatura. Y hoy las cosas viejas pasaron, y aquí todas son hechas nuevas.
There is so much to share. I could stand up here all day. It's really hard to pick out the most important things to tell you. He said 50 churches or 60 churches. Now they are working with 150 churches. They are now they are serving 10,000 children. So it is growing. It is growing. Oscar, I've always heard of faith and thought I had faith. We don't know faith. They have faith. Oscar has faith. When God gives him a vision, he goes for it. There's no funding. There's nobody there to give him what God's told him that will happen. He goes for it, and God provides. It is amazing at how he lives his life day to day. And his team members, those young guys and girls, they are so blessed to get into the ministry with him. He counsels them, and he runs a strict, very strict program with them. If they get out of hand, if they do anything that is not Christ-like, they're gone. He may give them an opportunity to correct, but if they do not, they're gone. He does not allow anything in his program that is not Christ-like. Dave Heller, our Director of Missions, has been with us, and he wanted to see for himself, is this legit? Is this what Debbie is saying that it's all about? He went with us last year in 2016, and he said yes, definitely. So we have partnered with them as Columbus County Baptist Association. We are on board with them, and basically Columbus County, we kind of adopted the Chinandega dump, which we'll share more about, but that was the area that those pictures were about. Okay, so let me look where I am. All right, we did the video. Okay, so like I said, in 2013 was my first trip, and 4 or 5 churches at that time went from Columbus County, and Oscar was telling us the whole time about, we went to two villages a day, and when I say villages, they're feeding centers, like he said. They're churches and they're feeding centers, so the children come in to eat, but they also feed them spiritually as well. They're teaching them about Jesus. The children come running with their bowls. Will you go back one? I'm not sure that. Okay, go ahead, go forward. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Just hang on tight there, and I'll talk about the pictures in a little bit. But and in the dump, he was telling us what that first year, he was telling us about this place called the Chinandega dump, the dump. And so, we didn't have a clue. We had never been before. We were just going to 2 villages a day. And then he said, okay, today we're going to the dump. We're like, okay. So he told us about the story. In 1998, Hurricane Mitch destroyed this community. The mudslides just destroyed this community, these homes. And so the government came and got them and bused them over to the city dump, like our dump that we have here in Columbus County, and dropped them off and said they would rebuild their homes and come back and get them and take them back into their new homes. Well, it never happened. These people basically went through the dump, got pieces of boards, pallets, plastics, tarps, whatever they could find, and they started building homes. They built a community out of trash. They didn't have running water. They didn't have food. They didn't have any. All they had was the trash out of the dump. They would go through the dump, go through everything, and find what they could to sell, to make money, to buy food for their family. And sometimes they would eat what was in the dump, whatever they could find. So you can imagine that the kids were malnutritioned. The babies were okay, because they all breastfeed there for the babies, if the mothers were eating okay. So the children were malnutritioned. It was just a very, very poverty-stricken place. The children were not clothed. The children's hair, it was not black. Their hair was like an orangey brown color, which meant very malnutritioned. It was awful. They did have a pastor, Pastor Eduardo, and his wife Alba. He came from a very nice church. Their church came and visited this area, and he had a home, very nice home, and the church came and visited the dump. And he knew that God was calling him to do something, but he didn't know what. Well, when he got to the dump, he knew that's where God wanted him to be. And so he told his church he felt God calling him there. Well, his church said, I'm sorry, if you go there, we don't have anything to do with you. So he knew that's where God wanted him to be. He took his family. He moved to the dump. He lived with the people. Oscar came in, found that people had been coming in and promising that they would help, took pictures of the children, promised they would send money, all this stuff, and they were not doing anything. So he was very weary that he told Oscar, I don't want your help. Everybody's promised and they're not doing anything, and I don't want your help. And Oscar said, I will show you that I'm going to help you. We are going to help you. So long story short, Oscar started bringing every mission team that came to him, he took them there. Most feeding centers, villages, do not get a visit from a mission team but every 2 to 3 months. And when a team goes in, they get in their food, they get extra. They have a rice manna pack, and you'll get to see that in some of the pictures, and I'll show you the pictures later. This is actually the pastor, Eduardo, and his wife, Alba, at the dump. When a team comes in, they get extra, which is part of our money, chicken and vegetables, fresh vegetables. That's extra that goes in the manna packet, which is rice and nutritious things in there. So every team that would come every week most every week. He would take the team there. So those kids were getting, once a week, they were getting a manna packet with extra chicken and vegetables. So, and he was trying to spread the word for people to come in and help this people, because they were just, it was really, really sad. So when we left that area, we were in shock. We were devastated. We were heartbroken. We knew that we had to do something for this community. So God laid it on our hearts to start a sponsorship for these people, these children. So long story short, we talked to Oscar. He said $10 a month would provide a meal 5 days a week, 1 meal a day, 5 days a week, 2 doctor visits a year, and 2 dental visits a year. So that got started booming. We had sponsorship. We had almost 300 sponsors. Almost every child there was sponsored. Doesn't mean that that the others didn't get sponsored, because everybody got food. It just meant that they spread it out for everybody. Well, the kids were coming on Saturday and Sunday wanting food too. So Pastor Eduardo asked Oscar, "Can I feed them on Saturday and Sunday?" And Oscar said, "Yes, on faith. Yes, feed them." So he just took the money that was coming in, God blessed it, and he just stretched it out and made it work. So they were getting 7 meals a day. Now remember, it's not 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. I may have said 7 meals a day. I meant to say 7 meals a week. They're getting 1 meal a day, nutritious meal a day, 2 doctor visits, 2 dental visits a year. So as we kept going back year after year, we started seeing a change. Their hair was black. People started coming in bringing clothing. That's why we take clothing. We ask for clothing donations. So we started seeing changes. So it was just amazing at what was going on. Pastor Eduardo was still there. He was still serving. He was still preaching. He basically has preaching there, service there every night for everybody in the community. The house is there. The video is old. Everyone in the community now has a home, but about 10 families. There are over 300 families there. So God has really blessed this community. There's still a lot of needs there, but they are really being blessed. One year I came back, and it was really burdened with me that the kids' school there is free, public school is free, but they have to have a uniform to go to school. Well, a good day in the dump is $3 a day. Okay? A uniform over there costs, Carrabba's is $3. Carrabba, 3 Carrabba's a day. I don't know that I'm saying that correctly, but that's how I know to say it. 1,000 Carrabba's is what it costs them to have a uniform for school. It's $45 for us. So my mission that year was to raise money to take back for the kids to have uniforms. There's a picture in there somewhere of the kids in uniforms. Sent the money to Oscar, went back that next year, and the kids had their uniforms and they were going to school. Those who were. There were some families that chose not to let their kids go to school because they really needed them to continue to work in the dump to make money for the family. But the majority of the kids are going to school now, and they're getting the education to hopefully get them out of that dump, that they can get an education to go to school and become something else and not have to work in the dump. That is a picture that's sideways. That is their baptismal. Those boards, they moved the boards, and that's their baptismal in their altar in their church. Those are 2 ladies kneeling at the altar praying. That was as we were leaving. They were cleaning and setting up the chairs, and 2 ladies just went to the altar and were praying. That is their church. You can go ahead and go through those, and I'll this is the government got involved after Oscar and his team got really heavy on them. They had done nothing for them over 16 years. The government wrote a grant. Another country gave them money. they went in and poured concrete roads and sidewalks. So now they have that and electricity. This was the year we went back to try to take pictures of all the kids so we could give out new pictures to the sponsors. It was crazy. It was crazy. This is the auditorium at the Dream Center. That's a whole nother story. That is some money that we left behind one year to give to Oscar to use where he needed it. This is an auditorium that he used kind of like a church at the Dream Center where the missionaries stay when we go over. And he has services there. We actually had some services there while we were there. Our youth group was there. This was our medical mission. We were there. That's one of our nurses taking blood pressure. Another one of our, he was an EMT doing blood pressure. Here's Trish back there. She would work anywhere we'd put her. She was doing a pharmacy technician back there filling pharmacy prescriptions. There's Jason working in the kitchen, cutting up vegetables for us to cook. There's Jason working with the kids, playing with the kiddos. Looks like they might have been coloring, I'm not sure. Oh, there's your pastor. Walking by he wasn't jump roping, he was walking by. Fingernail painting. Face painting. They were playing with the kids. Trish and Sid were playing with the kids there. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing, maybe painting, coloring. This is, I promise we had this right before service started. This is the food that was being served to the kids. There are two big containers. The first one is rice. The second one is, I think, soup. And it's all put in a bowl. They get one scoop of each, and they got a tortilla. And that's their food. That's it for one day. That's their nutritional meal. There it is, straight up there. They are tickled to death. I mean, they will run you over to try to get it. There we are, taking their bowls, getting it, and taking it to them. And it's crazy. It's actually more organized than it was in the very beginning. Here we are walking through the new village that Oscar has found. That's not as bad as Chinandega was, the dump area was, but it is an area of need. A lot of kids, people need homes. They're building a church for them now. This lady, she lives at the dump. She now works at the Dream Center. She's getting paid. She travels back and forth by city transportation. The bus takes her back and forth from home to the Dream Center. She does the washing and the mopping and the cleaning there. So she has a job now, which is good. Very nice lady. Lots of opportunities while you're there to love on others, pray for others, just show them Jesus. This is Jason and Randy praying with the man. There were several things going on while we were there at the Dream Center. The Dream Center is a place that was built to bring people in for us as we go, different mission teams as we go in, and also to serve others as they come in to have like retreats, pastor wife retreats, anything to do with church retreats and church services. This is Pastor Randy. He actually got an opportunity to preach at their church. They're building a new church now, his Oscar's church. Wanted to share this with you. This little boy goes to Pastor going out towards Fair Bluff, Piney Forest. Cannot think of the pastor's name. What's the pastor's name? Willard, yes. Okay. Can't think of his. I think his name's Ethan. This little boy went one year with us, And y'all, he got it. He was like 10 years old. And we usually sit down the last night and talk about, kind of just debrief about what we've experienced, how we feel about it. And this little boy said, you know, they're better off than we are. They have faith. They have Jesus. We have all this stuff at home that takes us away from Jesus. They don't have all that stuff that takes them away from Jesus. They get that. He got it. He went home and he raised on his own, he raised over $5,500. And he went back 2 years later and he had enough money to build a house. And he built a house in that new village that I showed you, them walking through. There's 3 new homes already built in that house. And that team that went back 2 years later, that team built them, and one of those homes is his. That he raised the money on his own. He did all the fundraisers. He did it. 10-year-old boy. He's going to be a preacher one day. And I said, here am I, send me. Isaiah 6. You know, I had all these notes. I haven't looked at them a bit. But I am going to say this. You know, God does call us to serve. We do serve here in our community. We do. We serve here in our state. We do that. We even serve here in our nation. But do you serve in other nations? Do you help others in other countries? God calls us to serve everybody. A lot of people will say, there's a lot of people here, right here at the house that need help. Why do you want to go help those people over there? Because God tells us to. We do help those here. $10 a month? That's nothing. That is McDonald's, the store for a cup of coffee in one day. $10 a month is nothing coming out of your checking account. There's options here. You can do it, send it in a check, but it's much easier to have it taken out of your checking account. Dave Heller, our Director of Missions, he got this set up for us through BB&T. Comes right out of your checking account, $10 a month. Our sponsorship has dwindled to just about nothing. And it's affecting our kids. I noticed when we went back this year that their food the day we were there was not what it used to be. It used to be a menu, and it was a different menu of different food every day. You know, spaghetti, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's not that anymore. But they're making it work. They're getting 7 meals a week. I'm assuming they're still getting 2 doctor visits and 2 dental visits. I did not get a chance to ask him that. They may not be. They may not have enough money. I don't know. But they're due. Oscar is, trust me, he's stretching it as far as he can to get what he can. But I'm going to leave these cards with Pastor Randy. And I challenge you to take a card and do this for a child that needs to eat. There's lots of ways that we can help. If you can't go with us next year, we're going back July 19th through the 26th. It's a medical mission. But if you're not medically inclined like me, because I don't know a thing about it, I couldn't even help in the pharmacy. I tried, but I could not read the writing, and I didn't know what the medicines were. Thank God for Trish. She was a trooper. She got out there and did that. Even Randy did it. He got in there and helped. I was lost. I couldn't do it. We do need doctors if you can. We do need pharmacists, and we do need pharmacy techs. And we need people who can play with children. $2,000 is all it is. That's your flight. He was talking about paying a fee. $85 a day pays for your transportation, 3 meals a day, and where you sleep, where you stay. Can you do that in America? No. And I'm talking some good food for me. Now I can eat just about anything that don't eat me. But some people have issues with other countries' food. But Pastor Andy. But I ate everything that they put in front of my face, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But it is an experience that I cannot explain to you. If you've never been on a mission trip, please pray about it and go with us. You will not regret it. It is an experience that you will never, ever, ever forget, and you will not regret it. Thank you.
There are many ways for our church to get involved in work in this, and I would hope that you would at least pray and say, Father, how can I be a part of this? If you've never gone on a trip like this, it would really transform you. It really will. And Debbie is a good tour host. She makes sure everyone gets on the plane. And I almost got left behind somewhere. I forget where it was. And she was there making sure that I could not find my information anywhere. And Debbie helped me so I didn't get left somewhere. But, and Mickey, I thought about you when I was trying to do all those pharmacy things along with Trish. I was thinking, my goodness, if Mickey only knew we was giving medicines out. And we have no idea what we're doing. But it is really humbling, probably a good word, to be a part of missions like this. And you may say, well, Randy, I'm too old, I can't go, or I can't handle that kind of stuff. I promise you, you can do it if God impresses it upon your heart to do this. And I know one of the things is not only, it costs how much to build a home? $5,500 to build a home. So you could do that, a block home. We need to buy mattresses because they just sleep on, most of them just sleep on the iron. Yeah, so very uncomfortable anyway. And so they need some mattresses, and you can do that. And then, of course, as Debbie already shared, 19th through the 26th to be a part of this. And we'll talk more about it, how we as a church body can be a part of this ministry. But I hope that the Spirit of God is starting to prick your heart a little bit and say that I can do this. I can be a part of this. Whether I go with my feet, I can go with my money and support this ministry. And it is a worthwhile ministry, I promise you. And as Debbie said, I mean, there's no way that she could talk all afternoon about how God has raised up Oscar for this ministry. And when he shares his testimony, my goodness, it's powerful testimony of how God has raised him up and brought him to where he's at. It is just amazing to listen how God has orchestrated all this. And so there's so much that you can be a part of. So I want you to pray and just ask God, Lord, what would you have me do? And you remember that our purpose statement here is to what? Love God. And the emphasis is serving others. Because you love God, Lord, how can I serve others? And because you love God and serve others, Lord, how can I tell my story? And I can tell my story by going, by sharing, by being a part of what you want me to do. So I want us to pray together this morning. And Debbie, I'm going to ask you, I know people probably love to talk with you and chat with you. If you would just go into our foyer and the people exit, they'll come by and chat with you. If you have those cards to hand out as well and answer any kind of information, we can do that. Most of you know Debbie, as she shared, which is a good thing, so you know how to get up with her and contact her and talk to her, get a little bit more information about if you have some concerns. And I would tell you this, if you are interested in being a part of this, go ahead now and start working on your passport. I forget how much it costs. Jason, you remember? Was it $60, $100, something like that? Huh? $100? Okay. And start working on your passport. And that way you're ready to go and to be a part of this. So, Father, thank you for the opportunity that we have to serve you. We certainly don't deserve your grace and your mercy. But Father, thank you that you offer it to us. And that, Father, when you offer us your grace and we accept it by faith, Lord, we become your child. We become an instrument in your hand, empowered by your Holy Spirit to be your hands, to be your feet, to be your body here, to be your ambassador here. And Father, I know that you use us in our community, in our state, in our country. Father, you also use us in other places that we might have the opportunity to go and share the good news. Whether, Lord, it's with our monies or whether it's with our bodies. Father, it's your kingdom, and however you desire to use us, we just want to be surrendered to that. And so, Father, thank you for Debbie coming to share this morning. Father, thank you for Oscar, and thank you for the ministry that you have called him to, which is way beyond him. But Father, you have chosen him to be a vessel that you desire to work through to lift up Jesus in those places. So Father, would you bless our brother today? Would you encourage him and strengthen him, Lord, in his journey? And Father, would you help us as individuals and as your body here to know how we can be a part of what that ministry is all about, and how we can go and how we can do and how we can serve. And Father, we'll give you all the thanks and all the glory and all the praise for the opportunity to serve you in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless. See you this evening for our Bible study, 6 o'clock. Awanas, 5:30. Student ministry, 6 o'clock. And don't forget, this Wednesday night is dinner and a movie. So come be a part of that. Dinner and a movie Wednesday night.